As I said earlier, we're continuing our look at different life hacks, solutions to making our lives better, solutions to at least doing some things better, tips and tricks that are supposed to make our lives easier, more convenient. And when you look at some of those things just in your everyday life, you find some of the things we've talked about, some things that you can do at work or at the home, little gadgets you can make and things like that are supposed to make your life easier, more convenient. One that I came across the other day, and I had plans to show it to you this morning, and one key element of when I got here to the building was missing, okay? So I was going to show you a more efficient and effective way to dunk your Oreos. And there's been a package of Oreos in our church kitchen for like a week now. And I guess maybe Wednesday night they got all eaten up, or sometime in the last week. I thought they were there. And I walked in this morning and they're not there. So, and maybe some of you guys know this already. How many of you, by show of hands, dunk your Oreos in milk? If you have milk available, you're a dunker. Okay. Thank you. Now, how many of you, when you dunk your Oreos in milk, your fingers go down in the milk? How many of y'all go ahead and dunk that? Okay. Is that annoying for you? You got the milk, or is that something? How many of you actually look forward to that? I like looking Thank you, Stephen, for confessing. Okay, thank you, Justin. You want to lick the chocolatey milk off your fingers. But here's what I discovered. I never knew this. Some of y'all may have already known this. You can take a fork and stick it into the cream in the middle and use that to completely submerge your Oreo in milk without getting milk all over your fingers. Huh? Yeah, some of you are like, mind blown, right? When I saw that, I was like, oh, I couldn't wait to show you. And then the Oreos are gone. So I'm sorry. Just picture it in your mind's eye. Now, it's not that you can't use your fingers to dunk your Oreo in milk. I mean, if you're going to dunk, go ahead and dunk, right? But that could be a way to make your Oreo dunking experience even better. This morning we're going to be talking about marriage hacks. And you may have what you would label, what other people label as a decent marriage, a pretty good marriage. And it's not necessarily that your marriage is just falling apart, needs a complete overhaul. But maybe there's some things that we can talk about this morning, some hacks that we can give you that would just make your marriage better. It's not that it's on life support and crumbling, but maybe it could take another step. It could be better than what it already is. And that's some of the things we're going to talk about this morning. Maybe in your marriage relationship, if you were to define it this morning, you would say, well, we're probably just maintaining. We're not really thriving. It's not a thriving marriage, but we're hanging in. We're doing okay. And maybe there's some things that we can give you that can help move into a thriving marriage this morning. Let's be honest. There's some people in this room that maybe your marriage is hanging on by a thread. It is on life support this morning. It needs a major overhaul. And I'm not saying that everything that we talk about this morning, that's just automatically going to fix your marriage. But maybe some things we talk about will start moving you in the right direction. Maybe there's some people, I know there's some people in this room who have never been married, or who were married and it didn't work and are single again. And so you're looking at this morning going, well, this is a waste of time for me to be here. And maybe there's some things that you can still see that you can offer if you haven't ever been married and looking forward to that day. Here's some things to prepare for. Here's some things to get ready for on down the road. Or if it didn't work and you're not in this marriage anymore, this isn't a sermon to hopefully inflict guilt on you and go, well, here's all the things you did wrong and why it fell apart. That's not what this is about this morning. But maybe there's some things you can look at and go, if that day comes again, I can do it better. I can improve on what happened before. There's all sorts of great marriage advice out there, and marriage tips and marriage hacks. We haven't cornered the market on how to have healthy marriages at all. And I will not guarantee that we're just going to fix everybody's marriage and fix any kind of marital problems that you might have right now or might have in the future, fix today. I'm not going to make that promise, okay? But there's lots of different advice out there and lots of different sources, resources you can consult for advice on how to do a marriage better. I wanted to share a quick video clip with you, some guys who have some marriage tips. It's been a while since I've shown this video, and so it may be new to some of you, but I wanted to let you see maybe some hacks from somebody else besides your typical preacher this morning.
Hi, I'm Dr. Gary Smalley, and I've been helping marriages for years improve, and I've got a couple of friends who have some very unique insights into marriage, and I want you to meet them.
Hey, thank you, Gary. My name is Johnny.
And I'm Chachi.
And you know, marriages is something that I think we're all excited about and something that we think we can bring a lot of wisdom to. Isn't that right, Dr. Dobson?
Smalley?
Oh, well,
Oh.
that's
Sorry.
our faux pas.
Sorry about
But we've got some killer marriage tips that we think are really going to knock your socks off.
Yeah.
So let's do some dancing, get this party started, and help marriages out
No.
all over the country. Let's
no,
do it.
No, let's go ahead and just roll with the tips. No dance.
When you get the chance, finish your wife's sentences.
For her.
It's important that she knows that you know where she's going with a particular thought or sentence.
Yeah, this says, I know you, I love you, and you're predictable, but in a good way.
When on vacation, have fun, but make sure your wife knows exactly how much this thing is costing. Now remember, allowing her to feel guilt can actually be a good thing.
Right you are, because GUILT is actually an acronym for Good Financial Stewardship.
No, that's
Yeah, it is. It is.
That doesn't make
It is,
sense.
it is, it is, it is, it is.
does not make sense.
It is.
When you're in an argument, it's key to use the time that your spouse is talking to come up with what you want to say next. So it goes like this. You speak, and then while she's speaking, you think, and then you speak again.
And that's how the killer comebacks happen.
Surprise your wife with a weekend trip for you and your buddies. Husbands, doing this will help her see that you're taking care of your needs.
And taking care of your needs will give you the ability to take care of her needs. You know, putting your kids in timeout works for most parents, but putting your spouse in timeout can also be really effective. Putting your spouse in the timeout chair will hopefully help her see things from a different perspective, preferably yours.
And if you get any pushback, I'd let her know that you're having a hard time telling her apart from the children.
That's classic. I like that.
Whenever your wife tells you about something she wants to buy, respond with the sound effect of a cash register. Here's a little role play for you. Hey, honey, I'm gonna go buy some skinny jeans.
Cha-ching.
Hey, honey, I'm gonna go get some bread now.
Cha-ching.
You know, guys, those were kind of horrible tips.
Okay.
I guess she didn't like them that much.
I mean, when you think about it, those were killer tips, and I think they'd, like, kill most marriages.
Well, I guess we're at an impasse then.
Awkward.
Hey, Gary, here's an idea, though. To keep the video rolling, let's just do the robot at the end and send this thing off with some fun, if you know what I'm saying. You want to do that with us?
I tell you what, I was, you know, a little bit uncomfortable by this. It's kind of, like, weird.
Okay, so maybe not all marriage advice that you find is, is the best. There's all sorts of advice out there, right? There's all sorts of resources you can find. Here's how to make your marriage better. Here's how to improve it. We're going to give you a handful of things this morning. So let's get right into it, and let's address, first of all, what causes a lot of our problems in marriage. Where do the sources of problems, conflicts, struggles, where do those things come from? And I guess in the concept of talking about marriage hacks, what can we do to improve those things? What are the areas that we seem to struggle with? And there's all sorts of things. I mean, you could talk about in your own marriage. Here's the areas where we seem to come back to over and over again. We seem to have conflicts or struggles about this or this particular area. Maybe it's 2 or 3 things. But it's stuff that all of us probably struggle with at some point or another. And it can range from any number of things. I mean, some of us have conflicts about our finances. Are we making enough? What can we do to make more money? What do we need to do about our debt? How do we get out of debt? How do we stop getting into more and more debt? Maybe it's, discussions about the kids. We got different parenting styles that were modeled for us, and we don't know which one's better. We have conflicts over how we should handle this situation with our kids or how we should discipline them in this situation. Maybe work is a source of struggle for you. We're working too much. We never see each other. We're never around the kids. We're not working enough. We're not making enough. I need something that's more fulfilling. And because I'm not fulfilling my job, it affects my relationships at home. Maybe it's just past mistakes. I've made mistakes in the past, and you won't seem to let go of those things. You keep bringing those up again. Or I feel my own guilt over past mistakes, and I can't get past it, and I think I'm going to repeat those things again. Or maybe I do keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. It can be something as simple as vacations. Where we're going to go this summer. What are we going to do when we get there? Who are we going to spend time with? It can be relationships with in-laws. Are they going with us on the vacation? What are we doing? Whose house do we go to for Christmas? Whose house do we go to for Thanksgiving? And how much do we allow in-laws to influence how we do whatever it is that we do? How much of an influence are they having on us? We have, you could have struggles and disagreements about your sex life. Are we having enough? Do I enjoy the sex life? Could it be more than what it is now? We have struggles and arguments over something as simple as housework. Whose job is it to take out the trash and to do the laundry and to fold the laundry and to put up the laundry? And who's, exactly, I've shared with you guys before, my wife and I have a difference on how to load the dishwasher. I mean, we can have all sorts of disagreements about that, and it could seem like something simple, and yet those things become even bigger. Any number of these things could not necessarily destroy a marriage, but start to erode the foundation of it. And the more that these things go unaddressed, the more that we just kind of struggle through and go, well, that's just the way my relationship is, that's the way my marriage is, the more damage it causes. There could be some things going on in some of our marriages this morning that we would say are even greater struggles. Maybe there's a physical affair that's been going on. Maybe he cheated on me. Maybe she cheated on me. And I can't get past it. Maybe there's an emotional affair going on. There's no actual sex that took place, but there's strong feelings that my spouse has for this coworker, for this neighbor, than they do for me. Maybe there's some kind of addiction, whether it's a pornography addiction or an alcohol addiction or prescription meds. There's something that truly my spouse is truly more passionate about and more consumed by than me. Maybe there's abuse going on. Maybe it's verbal abuse. Maybe they're constantly putting me down, making me feel bad, telling other people horrible things about me. Maybe it is physical abuse. Maybe there's some things going on that are physically dangerous for me in the home, and I don't know how to get out of that. Or maybe the opposite is true. Maybe it's complete neglect. She won't talk to me. He won't spend any time with me. We pass each other in the hallway, and that's about it. And if these kinds of things are going on in our marriages, it can obviously damage the relationship between the husband and wife. It can destroy that relationship. And if you look at this list, if you look at the things that are on the screen right now, there may be some of these things that you personally have had to deal with and had to conquer. Or maybe you're battling some of these things right now. Maybe there's just one thing you're like, man, boy, he nailed it. That's the one. Or maybe you're looking at that list going, I got a bunch of those. We got a bunch of those in our marriage. And maybe at this point you're honestly hurt. You're tired. You're frustrated. Maybe it's nothing more than just going, you know what? I'm good with my marriage, but things just could be better. Solomon says in Proverbs chapter 5 and verse 18, may you rejoice in the wife of your youth. And he doesn't say, may you tolerate the wife of your youth. May you put up with the wife of your youth. May you survive life with the wife of your youth. He says, may you rejoice in it. May you enjoy being married to your spouse. This concept of marriage is not just about procreation and not just about being the next logical step and we've been dating a while, so we might as well get married. The purpose of it is to find fulfillment and joy and purpose and meaning. And if I'm not finding those things in the marriage relationship that I'm in, something could be better. This could be better than what it is. If I look at my marriage and I say right now, in this moment, I'm not finding joy in this relationship. Okay, first off, there's no judgment here whatsoever because you're probably sitting around a bunch of people who have felt the same way at some point in their marriage as well. But secondly, if it could be better, is it possible to make things better? And I think so. I think we can make things better. I think there's some tips and some hacks we can give you. So let me give you a handful very quickly of some things that might help your marriage improve, how to get to the point where you have joy in this relationship. And if you're there already, if you're going, man, I find joy in the relationship I have with my spouse, how do we stay there? Let me give you some tips really quick. Number one, let me put this category heading on it. If something's going wrong, if there's something that honestly, man, this needs to be fixed. There's something that is broken, that is damaged, that needs to be improved somehow. Number one thing you got to do, if something's going wrong, is stop it. Whatever it is that's causing the problem, stop it. Stop doing it. And that could be any number of things. Turn off the computer. End the inappropriate friendships. Stop with the insults, thinking you're really, really funny. Say no to some of the extra activities. Draw some boundaries for yourself. Stop spending money on the things that you don't have and getting in worse debt. Just whatever it is that's causing the issue that you are doing, stop it. And that seems really simplistic, and yet that's, for some of us, that's so hard to do. It's a habit for us. It's part of our personality. It's part of something that we've always done. And to just completely stop it, it's going to take effort. It's going to take focus. And yet this is what Paul says about anything that's in our lives that is not as it should be. He says in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 34, he's talking to the church and to some of the attitudes they have. He says, come back to your senses as you ought and stop sinning. You're doing things God doesn't want you to do. You're making choices God doesn't want you to make. You're being in places God doesn't want you to be. Stop it. And the same principle applies, I believe, to our marriages. If there's something that I am doing that is causing some kind of pain, some kind of hurt, some kind of problem to my spouse, I need to stop it. I need to quit doing it. I need to get my mind, my focus where it needs to be and stop doing that action. Number two, I need to forgive it. Whatever my spouse has done that has caused me hurt, it may have been he said that one thing and he doesn't even know how bad it hurt me. She did that one thing and I just can't seem to get past it. Paul says in Colossians chapter 3 and verse 13, bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. How has God forgiven us? He's forgiven everything. He sacrificed everything for us. And though God had every right to hold us guilty for the choices that we made and the sins that we commit on a daily basis, he doesn't do it. He sent Jesus Christ to die on the cross to forgive us of every sin. And not only does he say, I'm not going to punish you for that, he says, I'm going to forget it. Not only am I going to forget it, I'm going to try to bless your life instead of giving you the punishment that you deserve. And Paul says, when I look at the grace and the acceptance and the forgiveness and the love that I've experienced from God, I need to be willing to give that grace and that love and that acceptance to other people, especially my spouse. And you may be thinking this morning, yeah, but you don't know. You don't know what he did. You don't know what she said. You don't understand the hurt that I feel. I have every right to be angry. I have every right to be bitter. I don't disagree. I don't know all your stories. And I don't doubt if you believe that you have the right to be angry because of what your spouse did or said, I don't doubt it. That may be your right, but that doesn't have to be your choice. Does that make sense? You may have the right to be bitter and angry, but you also have every opportunity to forgive and to show grace and to show mercy. So forgive your spouse. Move past it. Be done with it. Don't bring up the past again and again. Don't throw their mistakes in their face. God doesn't do that to us. Let's not do that to each other, especially to our spouses. Number 3, whatever it is that's causing the issue, let's guard against it. If we know ahead of time, this particular thing is going to be a temptation for me, this particular thing could potentially be a problem for me in my marriage, then let's guard against it in the first place. If we know that there's something that we've done in the past and we know that our spouse has loved us through that and forgiven us of it and we move beyond it, let's make sure we don't go there again. Let's guard against it. There may be some action, there may be some habit, there may be multiple ones that are hard for us to get rid of. But once we get rid of it, once we stop, as I said before, stop doing what we're doing, we don't need to sit back and go, phew, glad that's done. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Put the safeguards up. Guard against it. The temptation is going to be there again. Don't be in the habit of looking at other couples and going, man, I'm glad we're not them. I'm glad that's not a problem for us. Be careful. It might be one of these days. Guard against it. Guard your heart, guard your marriage against the things that will wage war against it. The Apostle Paul again says in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12, if you think you're standing firm, if you think things are going okay, if you think you have nothing to worry about, be careful that you don't fall. Don't assume that you're not going to have problems. Don't assume that you're not going to have the same problems that somebody else has. Be aware of the problems that could potentially happen in your relationship and guard against them. That might mean you might have to change or even end a certain friendship. You might have to install some filters on your computers and on your phones. You might have to completely disconnect yourself from social media. You might have to completely overhaul your budget, or at least set some boundaries for some purchases. You might have to eliminate some activities from your schedule. Whatever it is that you recognize, this is going to be a problem. I know I'm going to be tempted by this. I know that this could be a danger for our marriage. Then before that thing ever happens, let's put some safeguards up against it. Let's be ready for it. And let's not assume that we are beyond the ability to fall. Stop whatever's causing the problem. Forgive whatever caused the problem in the past and guard against it in the future. Now, what if we're looking at our marriage this morning and we're like, well, I can't really name anything that's just going wrong, but something could be better. This marriage could be better. This relationship could be improved. It's not that things are falling apart. It's not that things are awful. As a matter of fact, things are okay. Things are decent. But maybe there's just, it seems like there's something missing, or maybe there's just no life in our marriage. There's no spark. I just feel like we could do better than what we're doing. Let me give you some hacks real quick for that, okay? If that's where you are this morning, if things are okay and you want them to be better, here's one thing you can do. First thing, communicate about it. And we tell our kids a lot, use your words. Talk about it. And I guess notice that I didn't just say talk about it. That's part of it. Sometimes when we talk to our spouses about maybe an issue in our relationship, I might be the only one doing any talking. And I say we're communicating, I'm the one doing the talking. Or maybe my spouse might be doing the talking and I'm just nodding going, maybe not even making eye contact. Yes, right, you're right. I'm seeing some heads go down right now. Okay. It might be that my spouse is doing all the talking, and like we saw in the video, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for my turn for my response. I'm cooking up a good one right now. And as soon as you pause for breath, I'm jumping in. I'm going to say what I got to say. I'm not even listening to what you're saying. I'm waiting for my turn. That's not communicating. That's talking at each other, not communicating with each other. You see the difference? If there's something that could be better, then let's communicate about that. Let's verbalize it. Let's talk about it, but then let's listen. Let's share. We need to avoid insults. We need to avoid verbal attacks. We need to speak from the heart and also listen from the heart as well. What is really going on? What emotions are attached to whatever it is that you're saying? Solomon says in Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 18, there's one whose foolish words cut like a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. I have the potential, when I'm talking to my spouse about something that could be better in our marriage, I have the potential to cut them like a sword. To bring up everything that they're doing wrong and every reason why it's wrong and why that hurts my feelings, and just cut and cut and cut and cut. Or I can be honest about those things, but say them in a way, I want things to be better. How can we do this better? How can we improve this? So that healing takes place. So that things do improve. If things need to be better, let's talk about it. Let's communicate about it. The way that we communicate with our spouses about something that's going on can either make things worse or can bring healing. Number 2, make whatever the change is that needs to be made, make it a priority. I mean, if we spend some time, we talk about it, we say, here's something that could be better. It could be our finances, dealing with kids, just our time together, whatever it is that could be better. We talk about it and go, okay, and then we don't even mess with it. But we talked about it. We communicated. You want the change to take place? Make it a priority. Make it something important. And that could be anything. It could be something with the finances. It could be the parenting. It could be talking about our sex life. It could be just time together. It could be talking about the housework, and I wish you could do this better, or I really wish that you'd spend more time with me than on social media, or whatever it is. Then let's make that a priority. Let's make that change something that's important. Define the changes that we want to make, and then make doing those changes a priority. Get to work on it. Sacrifice other things because of it. Check in with each other. Is this getting better? I'm trying. Is this getting better? Are we improving in this area? What do you think? Paul says in Romans chapter 12 and verse 10, talking to Christians again, he says, be devoted to one another in love. And I think this is a great principle for our marriages. Don't just tolerate each other. Don't just exist in the same space. Be devoted to one another. Be dedicated to each other. The things that I'm devoted to and the things that I'm dedicated to are important to me. I make them a priority. Of all things, that should be our spouses. Of everything that's important in our lives, our spouses should be at the top of the list. I am devoted to you. I am devoted to us. What can I do to make this relationship better? And number 3, if needed, get some help. Get some help. Don't convince yourself that you have to have all the answers yourself, that you have to fix this all by yourself. There's a lot of times when there's physical repairs that need to be made at my house. And I can Google a bunch of stuff and I can YouTube a bunch of stuff. But usually I'm calling somebody who knows what they're doing and has done it before. And I say, either help me do this, or hey, can you come over and do this? Right? I get some help. I'm not one of those people that's like just going to buy a bunch of tools and, hey, let's hack at this and see what happens. That's not my personality. If it's something that I'm clueless about and something I want to be done well, I get some help. Why would we not want to do that with our marriages. If our marriages are important to us and we want them not to just coast along, but to be something that's thriving, and we're not for sure how to do that, or the things we've been doing are not allowing those things to happen, then we should be willing to say, I need some help with this. Maybe what you're looking for in your marriage was not what was modeled for you. Maybe the home you grew up in, it wasn't a good marriage that was modeled for you. And so you really you never experienced what it's like to have the kind of marriage in the home that you're wanting to have. You never saw it. Maybe it's just something you're not in the habit of doing. And you don't know exactly how to get there. You know there's some things that could be fixed and need to be fixed, but how do I start doing that? Get some help. Read some books. Go on some blogs. Go to counseling. I know that word scares us. What are people going to think of me if I go to get some counseling? And I'm a little bit with you. It's an intimidating word. It's an intimidating concept. I'm married to a counselor. There's still sometimes like, is she analyzing me right now? Am I we're communicating, but am I being set up? She's not that way at all. Counseling is just help. It's just advice. Read a book, get some counseling, go to some retreats, go to some conferences. My wife and I still do that, and I think we've got a great marriage. And we are constantly looking at resources, and whenever we get the chance, going on a weekend thing or a day-long thing, or hey, I read this week, you need to as well, so that we are constantly improving and getting better with our relationship. Spend time with other couples who seem to have it together. Like I said, I'm going to invite a repairman to my house to do repairs that I don't know how to do. Now, I might stand over his shoulder and watch the whole time so that if this problem comes again, I can do this. Spend some time with a couple. Invite a couple. Man, would you come out to eat with us? And we just want to talk. We want to talk about your marriage and how you guys handle these situations. We want to spend time with you and learn from you. I'm saying a lot to say, folks, if you don't know what to do, get some help doing it. Don't be intimidated by that. Solomon said in Proverbs 19, verse 20, get all the advice and instruction you can, so you'll be wise the rest of your life. If I'm planning on spending the rest of my life with this person, Solomon says it'd be wise for me to get all the help that I can, so that the rest of this life is a blessing for me and my spouse. Now, as I wrap up this morning, you may be thinking to yourself, I've heard all this before. You may be thinking to yourself, I thought there might be something a little more tangible, some more practical steps with these marriage hacks. So let me finish with this. No matter what, no matter where your marriage is, there's a hack that you can use every single day. Okay? And I'll confess to you, I'm going to try to do this myself. I haven't been in the habit of doing this, and so what I'm sharing with you, I'm going to start trying to do as well. Okay? And you might want to type these down, write these down, text them to somebody else. Be ready. Here we go. You're going to, every day, ask yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, have I served my spouse today? What I mean by that is when you serve with the heart and the love that Jesus wants to serve with, have I put my spouse's needs above my own today? Have I done something without them even asking? I've recognized something that they need, and I've gone about doing that. Have I in some way, when we get to the end of the day, when we're going to bed tonight, can I look back and go, at least then, or maybe several times, but at least once today, I served my spouse. I put his needs above mine. I put her schedule above mine. I did something for my spouse. I served them. Number 2, have I honored my spouse today? Does my wife feel like, because she's married to me, because of the way that I've treated her today, does she feel like a queen? Does my husband feel like he's the king of our home and the king of my heart? Or have I insulted them? Have I torn them down? Have I brought up all the things that they do wrong? Have I just ignored them today? What have I done today to make my spouse feel honored, feel special, feel appreciated? Number 3, have I connected with my spouse today? Have we spent any time together? Have we talked? Have we shared? Not talked at each other, not bickered about things, not, did you get that bill paid? Yeah, I did. Okay, talk to you later. Have we connected? Have we spent time? Have we shared anything with each other today? When we get to the end of the day, if any one of those 3 things haven't happened, work on that before you go to bed that night. What would happen to our marriages? I'm asking, I want to see what happens in my own marriage if we ask these 3 questions on a daily basis. And this isn't, let me warn you, this isn't about scorekeeping. This isn't about me going, yeah, I've honored her. She didn't honor me. So I'm not going to tomorrow, and then we'll be back square again. This isn't about, I've honored him more than he has me. I've made efforts to connect with her. She hasn't made any effort. This isn't about that. This isn't about keeping a list of who's doing better on these 3 questions. This is self-inspection every single day. Am I serving my spouse? Am I honoring my spouse? Am I connecting with my spouse? If I'm not, what do I need to do tomorrow to make that better? What do I need to do to improve that? If both of you are committing to those 3 things on a daily basis, I believe your marriage is going to be blessed. And I believe your marriage is going to be a blessing to others. So we're going to stand together as we always do. We're going to sing a song as we do every Sunday to offer the opportunity for people who don't have a relationship with Jesus, or people who have walked away from their relationship with Jesus, or are struggling in their relationship with Jesus, to share that with our church family. And when we stand together, we're going to be singing a song together. And it's going to make it easier for you to come walking to the front going, there's something wrong in my life. There's something wrong in my faith. There's something that could be better in my relationship with my God. And maybe even your faith in God is okay this morning, but if you were honest about where you're at right now, you may be saying, I'm great with God and I'm good with my coworkers. My marriage is struggling. And I want prayers. I want help. I want things to improve. Whatever the need is that's on your heart this morning, we invite you to come forward and share that with us. And there, again, there's no judgment here. There's nothing but acceptance and love. We know things are hard. We know life is hard. We are all mistake-filled people who want nothing more than to experience forgiveness and grace and show that to others. And we'll do that for you this morning, if we can. So if there's a need in your marriage, if there's a need in your life, please share with us what it is while together we stand and while we sing.
Dear Lord, take